Groceries. To do. The Fortune 500. FBI's Most Wanted. Rolling Stone's 100 Greatest Guitarists of All Time. I'm just naming some of my favorite types of lists, because that's what this video is about, lists. Specifically, US EPA's list of chemical substances that are regulated as hazardous waste when discarded. I'm Roger with Lion Technology, and I'm not afraid to admit it, I use lists too. In fact, I shared a list with you in our last RCRA Answers video when we talked about the 4 characteristics of hazardous waste: ignitability, corrosivity, reactivity, and toxicity. In that video, we covered the hazard criteria for each of those characteristics and the RCRA waste code or codes associated with each one. Those characteristic codes, or D codes, provide information about the hazard or hazards of the waste. They tell us about the nature of the danger, whether that's a fire, damage to skin, a dangerous chemical reaction, or something else. There are other RCRA waste codes that may apply to your hazardous waste that provide other information about it, like the chemical makeup of the waste, whether it's used or unused, which industry sector the waste came from, and even the specific process that generated it. These other hazardous waste codes will come from one of these lists found in the RCRA regulations: the F list, the K list, or what we call the P and U list. Before we go any further, I want to be really clear that this video is a basic introduction to EPA's hazardous waste list. This is not meant to replace real RCRA training. If you need training to satisfy EPA's initial or refresher mandates for generator personnel, go to lion.com/RCRA to browse workshops, webinars, and self-paced online courses for personnel at different levels of experience and responsibility. Now, let's take a look at those lists. We're going to focus on the F list and the K list in this video. We will get to the P and U list, the one for commercial chemical products, next time. Now, with these lists, EPA is kind of saying, listen, we've been around the block a few times. We know from experience that historically, wastes that fit these descriptions are hazardous wastes. We can save you the trouble of testing your waste. We'll just tell you, these wastes are hazardous wastes under RCRA. F-listed wastes have all been used in some way. They've been through some kind of industrial or manufacturing process. A waste gets an F code only if it was generated by the specific industrial process associated with that code. So what kind of stuff do we find on the F list? First, spent solvents. These are chemicals used for cleaning and degreasing, including acetone, benzene, xylene, TCE, methylene chloride, and many others. Other wastes found on the F list come from electroplating operations, metal heat treating, production of certain chemicals, wood preserving processes, incineration or treatment of contaminated soil, aluminum can washing, and refining petroleum. EPA calls the F list hazardous waste from non-specific sources. By non-specific sources, the regulations mean it doesn't matter what industry sector the generator is in. If you perform the listed process and you generate the listed waste, then that waste gets the listed F code. Let's take F007, for example, spent cyanide plating bath solutions from electroplating operations. Now, looking at the F list, you will see the F code in column 1, the waste description in column 2, and in some cases, letters in parentheses here in column 3. These letters tell us EPA's reasoning for listing this waste as hazardous. In this case, F007 waste is regulated because it's reactive, that's the R, and toxic or poisonous, that's the T. If you don't know, electroplating is a process used in many different industry sectors. It's a method for coating one metal with another metal, often to protect it from corrosion or damage. It's used to improve car parts, airplane parts, medical devices, jewelry, silverware, metal pipes, and a lot of other things. Remember, when it comes to these F codes, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you do electroplating and the process generates spent cyanide plating bath solutions, then that waste is a hazardous waste and gets the F007 code. Now look, I'm going to level with you here. Not all the F codes are as easy to parse as F007. If you really want to feel confident identifying hazardous waste and working with these RCRA waste codes, I recommend training with an expert instructor who really knows this stuff backwards and forwards. Again, lion.com/RCRA is the place to find that. Waste on the K list are all associated with a particular industry sector. EPA calls these hazardous waste from specific sources. To make life a little easier for us, EPA lists K codes by industry sector in the regulations. So here we can see K001, for example, is dedicated to wood preserving. K002 through K008 apply to waste from manufacturing inorganic pigments. Other K codes apply to waste from other industry sectors, including organic and inorganic chemical manufacturing, pesticide manufacturing, explosives manufacturing, production or forging of iron, steel, or aluminum, smelting lead, producing veterinary pharmaceuticals, ink formulation, and coking. As a generator of hazardous waste, you only apply K codes that are associated with your industry. If your facility is not classified as part of the ink production industry sector, for example, you would never use code K086. Identifying all of the waste codes that apply to your hazardous waste is an essential part of RCRA compliance. Waste codes provide important information about the hazards and properties of your waste. They appear on containers and on the hazardous waste manifest, and maybe most importantly, they will dictate the treatment standards your waste must go through before it can be safely disposed of in the environment. Thank you for sticking with me through this video. In the next one, we're going to talk about another RCRA list of hazardous waste, the P and U list. Until then, you can check out our YouTube playlist of all our RCRA Answers videos, where we cover other must-know topics for generators like RCRA size categories, solid waste identification, and training to sign the Hazardous Waste Manifest. Thanks again. I'll see you in the next video.